Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Neil Murray and Tam Cowan here with me on this Tuesday as we head into what is effectively the last week of the Scottish Premiership season. But what a week. 2 games to go, and each of them at the bottom really do mean something to a number of clubs. We'll discuss that. We'll also look at what was happening at the top, because there's been some news regarding some players on the way. And we start off with Rangers. Alfredo Morelos, Ryan Kent, Philip Helander, Alan McGregor and Scott Arfield are going to leave at the end of the season. Ruffy, any great surprise?
Not a great surprise. I'm a wee bit surprised with Arfield. I think Arfield, particularly this year, any time he's come off the bench, he's been an influencer. He scored goals. He's won games for them. You know, so I thought he might have been a player you would keep. You know, because he's contributing. But the rest, I think we all knew they were all going to go.
Yeah, okay. Our man Adam Binney was out there today to speak to the Rangers manager.
Thanks, Peter. I'm at the Rangers training centre this afternoon, just after the news has broken that Rangers have confirmed 5 players will be leaving the club upon the expiry of their current contracts. The 5 players being club legend Alan McGregor, Scott Arfield, Alfredo Morelos, Ryan Kent and central defender Philip Helander. When it came to making those decisions, Michael Beale confirmed today that since joining the club in November there was never a deal on the table, nor did he ever consider offering new deals to Alfredo Morelos or Ryan Kent.
No, not in the time I was here. Neither was offered a contract in the time since I come back from November. There may have been some discussions before that with Ross and Gio, but in the time I was here, the relationship I had with the 2 boys, it was important they focused on football. I came in at a time where the team wasn't performing well on the pitch. We parked some of those conversations to earlier this month, and then it was confirmed on our side that we think it's right for all parties to look for something new.
However, when it came to the decision regarding Scott Arfield, the manager Michael Beale admitted that it wasn't quite as straightforward.
Scotty Arfield was it pulls on the heartstrings big time, because he as a man, as a person, he's been absolutely fantastic around the place. He's adored by the fans as well, and not only his teammates and the staff. That was a real amicable conversation between the 2 of us over the last couple of months, ongoing conversation around playing time and around players coming in and how the squad will look and what Scott needs as well moving forward. So a difficult decision to come to, that one, but I think it's right for all parties.
Yeah, so fairly open there in his assessment of certain players. I think a nice touch about Scott Arfield, because if he's going to another club, I think they've got a good player there.
Yeah, I mean, as Ruffy said, he's done well when he's played and he's come on, he's made an impact. He looks fit. You know, I think from Rangers' point of view, the players that are leaving, okay, Kent Morelos is different, they're 26 and they want to leave and they're exercising their rights to leave under freedom of contract. But for other ones, they're older. They're 33, 34, older than that. So Rangers need to bring the squad age down. So it's no surprise they're leaving. Unfortunately, Arfield falls into that category. He's 34. And albeit he's made a good impact, you know, is that what he's going to do next year, is make an impact? I think Rangers now want players to make an impact from the first whistle. So although, you know, granted he has a good player and he's done well for the club, I think ultimately, if you're looking to the future, they have to change it.
Yeah, he can play it still at the top level in Scotland. Yeah,
we saw players that leave Rangers and Celtic at the twilight of their career going to the likes of Aberdeen, Hibs, Hearts, you know, and doing well, because they bring a good quality with them, good experience. They've got good standards that they set. You know, we saw Halliday going to Hearts, and I think he's done particularly well. So that's the kind of teams they'll be looking at, I think.
Yeah, of course, Rangers up against Hearts, and I think from anybody's perspective now, the greater incentive is Hearts and what they can do at Ibrox, because they know that it's game on in this battle with Aberdeen.
Oh, absolutely. There was could have looked like a bit of a dead rubber, and you'd have wondered why it was going to be live on the telly, etc. Although we know the answer to that, of course, when it comes to the money. But yeah, Hearts have definitely got something to play for. But obviously the rules don't apply in midweek games that you can put a live game on next to other fixtures. So I'll be through at the Tony Macaroni, watching Kevin Van Veen adding to his total.
Yeah, before he either stays or goes, which I'm going to pick your brains on in a moment. Just one other little footnote to this. Michael Beale did confirm that a deal for Malik Tillman hasn't been confirmed, but they're going to talk with Bayern Munich next week. When you look at some of the people who are staying and the wages they're on, the big question is if he's going to get him, how much is he going to have to pay?
Yeah, and we've discussed this in the show before. The discussion might be around another loan period, potentially for the player, to pay the reputed $5 million transfer option seems quite high for Rangers at the moment. And also, Cantwell can play in the 10 area, and I believe Kieran Dowell's an attacking type midfielder, and Hadji's there as well. Is it really a necessity? I don't know. Yeah,
Cifuentes is the man that everybody's tipping is a deal close, Ecuador midfielder. So you can see that, as the players have been announced that are leaving, Michael Beale wants to get it quickly, deals over the line in, get a chance to work with them so that they don't hit, July pre-qualifiers for the Champions League with a team that's not really gelling.
Yeah, they also, the thing of doing that and bringing them all in quickly, that keeps the fans on board. Season tickets are going to be out there to be bought. If you're a Rangers supporter and you see, that player coming in there, he's coming in, I'll have a bit of that. So the season tickets fly out the window. Not that they would have to do it, because Rangers supporters always buy their season tickets, but a new player coming into a club's always an exciting time.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, as far as Hearts are concerned, well, the great thing about it, as Tam mentioned, there's things that are alive, top and bottom. Hearts will be having a go because they want to try and finish third, and I think at that point Cammy Devlin reiterated that by saying there's no way they're going there just to park the bus.
Obviously the defensive is so important, but for us to go there and win the game, we need to score more than them. And Nazy, like I've said, he'll want us to be attacking. He won't want us to set up defensively, because that's not the coach he is. And Frankie and Gordy aren't like that. So and as players, you never want to set up to sit back on your box. It's not enjoyable for any player. So no, we definitely won't be doing that.
Yeah, that's his thoughts on it, Ruffy.
No, I don't think they can't sit on it. They've got to go for it. They know they've got Hibs coming up in the last game. If they were to get in and out of that game, it'd obviously make the Hibs game a wee bit easier at Tynecastle. But I think they've got Rangers at the wrong time. I think Rangers are playing particularly well. Even the players that are coming back, like Hadji, I know they're missing Golson and another couple of others, but the guys that are coming in are just now like Celtic. They want to impress the manager. They want to say, right, I'm your man for next year. So no, I think it's going to be a hard one for Hearts.
Rangers or Hearts?
Rangers for me, yeah.
I think Rangers, yeah.
Yeah.
I can see Hearts sneaking up.
Yeah.
With the sense of injustice that's in there, that might galvanise them, because that crazily the goal of the season was announced how many weeks ago? And then Ginnelly pops up and scores it last week. That's potty. What's the reason for that, Peter? Because Kevin Van Veen's cracker against Kilmarnock a couple of weeks ago couldn't have been included either.
Yeah.
When he had that sublime first touch, it was a bit like Dennis Bergkamp, and then the finish. That should have thought, there's goal of the season. Then you see Ginnelly's effort against Aberdeen, which was an absolute peach. Goal of the season, the full season.
You're the one guy on this couch that I thought I would not need to explain that to, because this period now is hectic for guys like you, because you're doing Player of the Year.
I know what you're going to say,
after
and you want to present the winner of the goal of the season with an award, but I can understand that when it's something like Player of the Year, or Young Player of the Year, or Manager of the Year. But the goal of the season, I mean, what if tomorrow night at Livingston, right, there's a ball up in there, and Kevin Van Veen manages to levitate.
Yeah.
What we've all done in our dreams, right? And he goes 30 feet in the air, catches the ball between his feet, goes over the Livingston defence, drops the ball, then he swoops like a kestrel, lies prostrate halfway up mid-air, overhead kick by the Livy goalie. Jota's is still the goal of the season.
Well, what happens then, Tam, is you get together with all your Motherwell mates and you go for a night out with them, as is your want, and you go, I can't believe you never won that, Kev. You were really, really good.
That's what's going to happen. That's what they'll be.
There would still have to be a VAR check.
Oh, yeah, there would be.
Absolutely, exactly.
Up in the
You know what I'm saying? I just think it's absolutely potty. And I wonder how it played out. This is a hard tester for you, Peter, but seeing the years when, particularly with Celtic and Rangers, when the league title had gone to the wire, you know, Skippy Sundays or helicopter Sundays or whatever you want to call them. When it came to the manager of the year, then presumably that had also been given out 2 or 3 weeks earlier.
Oh, yeah.
And by and large, it's normally the top flight league winner who's crowned manager of the year. So that could have been a strange one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not. I'm not defending them because it's not me that votes. The managers vote for the manager of the year. The players vote for the player of the year. It's not ideal in the timing. It's always open to debate.
Well, I would suggest that you have the glittering prizes are handed out as a wee pre-season treat. Just to get everybody back in the mood. We say, right, we've got a couple of big events at the start of August, let's say, and that's when we hand out the prizes.
Do you
for
have a
that
dinner
season
for it?
to really put us in the mood for it? Yeah.
Germany will fly you in.
No, you just say, sorry, you didn't get an invite.
Right, okay. Right.
It was your choice to leave.
Right, okay.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. Okay, Hibs against Celtic. Now, the two teams, I mean, it's incredible, but it seems that long ago. Celtic have won the title. You know, I'm not so sure about putting the tools away, but they've only won one post-split game so far, Ruffy. They've looked off it, and you know, despite the fact that Alistair Johnson will be back, will they be on it against Hibs? Because Ange is getting a little bit tetchy when people are questioning his side, whether they're getting a draw or not. He's thinking the title's won. What are you busting my head for?
Yeah, but the fact that there's a big game next week when he pins that team out and he reads the team out, he'll be saying, hey, there's a cup final coming up.
Yeah.
Just get out there and show me that you're going to be in that team. I think that should be the inspiration for the Celtic boys. They aren't playing they're not playing not playing well. They're just not playing to the standard that they've set for the most of the season. You know, some of the guys in there just aren't doing it, and they've been given a chance. So, you know, I thought Rangers won quite easy at Hibs at the weekend there, and I think Celtic will as well if they're on their game.
Yeah, of course, he's been named the SPFL manager of the year, and Kyogo has just been named the player of the year. It's as close as they can get to the end of season in the final week, although I have to highlight the fact that the Scottish Football Writers Association, while they've named their various candidates that have won their awards, their dinner is on the Sunday, the 28th.
The winners just announced on the night.
Will have been gradually drip feeding the winners of
Max Johnston. He's got the young player.
And they've been drip feeding it all the way, so I don't think there's any great surprises. There might be the odd one on the morning of the event where they'll post the photograph out, but
the biggest surprise is Jerry Sadowitz doing the after dinner.
Well, it's a big night.
That shocked me. I wish I was going there.
Can you imagine him walking out onto it? Still, we could all head to the bar. But everybody was asking. I think most of the journalists go into these press conferences now with Ange Postecoglou thinking, well, the title's won. What can we do to annoy him? And somebody obviously questioned him about, the transfer dealings that are going on, the speculation about the strength of the Rangers squad come next season. Here's what he had to say.
I think this time last year, Rangers were in a Europa League final and in a Scottish Cup final, and they strengthened after the season, didn't they? Yeah, so does anyone really care? Like, seriously, if people think, we didn't start favourites my first year, probably weren't overwhelming favourites this year, so people will say what they want, mate, and everyone's got a plan till they get punched on the nose, and then you're going to reassess from there. So when we start next year and the games start, everyone will see who's really strong and who isn't strong. And
yeah, I think Ange just needs a beach somewhere. Do you, Neil? He's had enough of the questioning.
Yeah, but then he'll recharge and he'll go again. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Then and I'm pretty sure they'll add to their squad, and it's a bit of a ridiculous kind of question to ask a manager anyway. They're not interested in any other team other than their own.
I'll tell you what though, Peter, if Rangers next year even have half as good a season as has been predicted already by players past and present and acolytes in the media, then get out the silver polish, because I think it's been quite ridiculous. Rangers, obviously, they've been winning a few games recently. They beat Celtic, of course, when it didn't actually matter. And I think the Rangers fans will be fed up listening to all this clap. They need to really do their talking on the pitch when it matters.
Yeah, well, the strange thing about it, I'm glad you brought that up, Tam, because, and I'll get your guys' thoughts on it as well, not that we are the light, the way and the truth. We make mistakes on this programme. We offer an opinion, some like it, some don't. But the media and the whole social media thing has fragmented now. You have sections of people who want to listen to what I call propaganda, fanzine, podcast, you name it, and they just want everything rosy in the garden. They don't want to be the club to be criticised. So you've got that camp, and then you've got obviously some people who just want to come out with being prophets, and saying, oh, if that happened, this happened, that's going to happen. I always feel as if there's a real need to wait. I mean, we even offer our tuppence worth, Ruffy, and who we think's going to win the league at the start, based on as much evidence as you can look at on what's gone before, type of players they've signed, and then you offer a guess on it. And then somewhere along the line, you can get it right or wrong. There are some people who offer it just basically because they're flag wavers.
Yeah, and sometimes you know who the flag wavers are, and you can tell, that. I think there are flag wavers on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rangers and Celtic.
Yeah, but can I tell you something, Ruffy? See, when Rangers were winning 9 in a row, I cannot in any capacity remember as a journalist me suggesting that Celtic were going to beat them, because they had such a weak team, and Aberdeen, 6 out of the 9 years, were the team who were contesting the title. So you can look at things and you can start being a fan if you want. But at that time when Rangers were in 9 in a row, I mean, I can remember looking at games as a journalist and thinking, I couldn't pick Celtic to win a game. But when it got to the end of the season and Rangers had the title in the bag, Neil, as you sampled on more than a few occasions, half of them had been out in the lash. So they'd won the title. The last game usually didn't matter, and it didn't gauge what was happening the next season.
No, that is true. Although the only 2 times I've seen Walter Smith go crazy was games that didn't matter. Partick Thistle away when we lost, when they already won the league, and Celtic away when we lost and we already won the league.
Yeah.
And they were the only 2 games that he really lost it. So it meant to him to win every game, but also I think it's a line in the sand as well to mark people's card that, go again next season, because it will not be quite so easy.
Did it have a bearing when you lost them?
No.
Exactly. It doesn't, because by the time you get to the next season, there's 2 or 3 other superstars coming in, Tam, that made Rangers even stronger in that period. And Ange Postecoglou has won the title, but all I've heard for the last 3 or 4 weeks is basically flag wavers giving it that Rangers are going to sign this, Rangers are going to sign that, Rangers are going to sign this, and you're thinking, well, wait a minute. Do you think Ange Postecoglou is not going to sign players?
It's also impossible to predict. I mean, Rangers might sign good players.
Yeah. No, you say might. I think they need to. I think Michael Beale is looking and saying, if there's 12 coming in, as we listened to him the other week there, he is looking for a high percentage of people who've got to contribute to the starting 11.
But the point I'm trying to make is you can never predict.
No.
Really, with 100% certainty how a player will react coming to Rangers or Celtic. And actually, in Ange's first season, with a whole series of new players, they lost a few games at the start of the season. They were almost written off.
Yeah.
Now, if Rangers don't get a good start to the season, how does that play out? If Celtic do get a good start to the season and a few points,
and only then will you be able to tell what Rangers are going to be like. All this chat now, I know that you still have to fill sports pages and newspapers, etc. But all this crystal ball stuff about next year, we won't have a Scooby what Rangers are going to be like until they play the first competitive game next season. Yeah. And the bottom line as it goes between Rangers and Celtic now is that Celtic won the league before the split. 5 games, 15 points. That's a big gap, so that's what they've got to close. And you need better than, as I say, current players promising that they're suddenly going to be so much better players next season. ex-Rangers players saying that, no, you wait and see if Michael does this, if Michael does that, and they'll be back there in the trophies. It's all a nonsense. You need to just wait and see who they bring in, if these guys are strong enough, and if they can maybe even steal a march on Celtic. Who knows? They've had a great track record recently, Celtic, the players that they brought in, particularly the Japanese players, right? Every club could go through a period where guys you bring in don't live up to expectation, and there's a wee bit of flatness and there's a wee bit of a slump. So, but that's all for talking about in August.
Yeah.
You know?
Hibs or Celtic?
I can see that being a draw, 0-0.
Right.
See on the Rangers one, would you agree that there's, at this moment in time, there's 6 first team starters there the now
Yes.
for next year?
Undoubtedly.
6. The back 4.
Not the
Campbell and
back
Raskin.
four. Not the back four. No.
Not Tavernier, Golson.
Well, Tavernier's going to stay. Golson's going to get
Barisic.
there. Suter, I think, is going to be a good player for Rangers if he gets a clear of injury.
And Barisic.
Barisic, no.
Oh,
If he
Yilmaz
stays.
will be the.
Yeah, well, to be fair, if Barisic is not sold, then I think they've got to look for another left back. Barisic for me is a player that's been good for Rangers. Going forward, he can whip in a great ball, but I think he's been found wanting in big games, especially at the back post with people running off him. That's just my opinion on it. In the mid, Cantwell's been great for me. I think he's been good. He's been a good signing. Raskin, I want to see more of. He's got to find a wide player. I don't think they'll buy Tillman. I just can't see it. And then
Are you surprised by Cholak? Francis Cholak.
No, I don't. No, because I think what's happening is Ruffy will go down the pecking order. I don't think Cholak and Sakala are going to be the answer. I think he's going to go out and buy himself some strikers. I think he needs 2 other strikers in the door to score goals. And if that puts pressure on Cholak and Sakala, then all good and well. But I still think he needs wide players. He needs creative players. Middle of the park. He's got Cantwell, like him. Raskin, still to see a wee bit more from him than what he does, but Cantwell wants the ball, which is good, but I still think he needs a creative to replace Kent. Certainly needs something on the other flank. Whether that's Hadji or not, we'll wait and see, because that boy's had a long time out injured, but he needs 2 strikers.
Yeah, but I think Hadji's a 10. The Rangers play Hadji in a wide area, but when he played for Romania at a young age group, 21s, he's number 10. He's like his father. He plays in a creative off the front row,
So he needs to escape injuries.
Yeah, but he could also play as a 10 instead of Tillman.
Yeah.
That's why maybe Tillman isn't particularly critical for Rangers,
Do you think they need 5 starters?
Still.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to what we've spoken about before. I think a striker replace Morelos, a winger with pace and that can score goals to replace Kent, a goalkeeper. They're the 3 key positions. After that, fine, you maybe find players here and there, but does he really need wholesale changes? I don't know. I mean, it's difficult to bring 12 players in and mix them all up and find a starting 11.
That's what the manager said. I mean, it's not us coming up with 12, it's him.
Here's the other one we were talking about, and Tam McManus through, and would Van Veen do Rangers as a striker?
Again, it goes back to what we've spoken about before. Is somebody going to pay £1 million for a 31-year-old?
31's not old.
Plus his salary.
Look at what age is Modric.
37.
Right, well there you go. Get 6 years on him. 6 years.
Hold on a minute. He's no Modric, but I love your enthusiasm for it. I'd sign Modric now and he's 37.
I'd bet Rangers are one of the teams that I could just about bear them going to, Rangers or Celtic, because Motherwell are not competing with Rangers or Celtic, because there's been also talk that Hearts and Hibs might be showing a wee bit of interest in them, but they're more our level, and we'll hopefully, particularly while we're motoring under Stuart Kettlewell going into next season, you're hoping maybe for a wee top 6 in European play. So no, it would hurt me a lot more to see him going to somebody, if he stays in Scotland, like Hearts or Hibs, rather than Celtic or Rangers.
Yeah, okay, but the game at Tannadice tomorrow night, Ruffy, is not for the faint-hearted. This for me is, anybody would want to watch a game of football for the sheer theatre of it, for nerves, for people breaking down and crying as they realise the trapdoor is opening. Dundee United against Kilmarnock, blood, guts and thunder, not a lot of craft, but boy, it's going to be something I can't wait to watch.
Yeah, and both sides have got their troubles. Dundee United can't get a clean sheet. Kilmarnock don't generally score away from home. They've lost a couple of players. Dundee United have lost Fletcher, which is a massive blow. Kilmarnock get the boy sent off. I know he's a young boy. A young boy gets sent off on Saturday. Anyway, they've all got their troubles to seek. I think it's on the night. It's on the night, and I think Dundee United, with the home crowd behind them, if they go in front, the home crowd will get behind them. If they go behind, it could be a long night.
I think what you mentioned, if it is a game of blood and thunder and physicality, is Dundee United set up to win that game? Probably not. Harks and Sibbald in midfield.
Yep.
No. I think Kilmarnock, if they're robust and they approach the game well, I don't think they'll lose.
It'll be the atmosphere will certainly be crackling because Dundee United, who will definitely need something as well when they come to Fir Park on Sunday, they've I think as of Monday lunchtime there they'd sold about 1,200 tickets, and that'll go up and up, particularly if they win tomorrow night, of course. And Kilmarnock recently brought a great support, 1,800, 1,825. In fact, I remember that for some reason, and they brought a great fan base to Fir Park as well. So both sets, you just know, are going to turn out tonight. Tomorrow night rather, and you know that's an absolute stoter. If you could just go to that as a neutral, if you're up in Dundee tomorrow night and neither of those are your actual team that you support, it'd still be worth the entry money, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Is it possible for Dundee United to be relegated if they lose?
Depending on the other
I think we really need the league up at this point. That would be a great idea.
It's depending on one of the scores.
I will show you the table.
Because Ross County, I'll tell you, while you're getting the table, I felt really sorry for them at Fir Park at the weekend. If you saw the highlights, where we were sitting, and we've got a great view just above the dugouts, me and my pals, we thought it was a penalty to Ross County, you know, if not the first time, the second time, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And then extraordinarily, it was waved aside by VAR, which Big Malky Mackay took very well. And then you couldn't make it up. Welcome to Scottish football. We knew that, I thought we'll get a penalty at the end here, you know, and we did. And again, it was one that, apart from Obika in Motherwell, nobody was claiming for it, you know, but we got the running, and what a difference that could have made. That swing for 3 points by theirs to 3 points by ours for Ross County, you know, incredible. Yeah,
Dundee United are on 31, Ross County on 33, Kilmarnock on 34.
Yeah, so if Kilmarnock beat Dundee United, then they scoot well clear of Dundee United at the bottom.
Yes.
And if Ross County play whom tomorrow night?
Ross County are St Johnstone, home to St Johnstone.
Right, so if Ross County, you think, even get a point, then if Dundee United lose, that'll be Dundee United down.
Even if Dundee United draw and County win, that's more or less finished as well.
It's a must-win for Dundee United. And I must say as well, I'm going to be absolutely selfish here. I was talking about how many United fans will come to Fir Park for the last day of the season. I want to still witness a bit of drama, and I want the fans that will help us for our budget or the close season. I'd like as many Dundee United fans here as possible. So, I might be siding with Dundee United tomorrow night.
Yeah, well, it's certainly down to the wire. And on the Sunday, Ruffy, obviously Killie against Ross County, Motherwell against Dundee United, as Tam mentioned, St Johnstone against Livingston. Jim Goodwin, looking at this game, he's mentioned the fact that the first goal could be crucial. Bearing in mind these two teams, first goal might be the winner.
Yeah.
We have to be more solid defensively. We have to make better decisions. We have to stop gifting teams, unnecessary goals. And, if we can get the first goal, I think that's always important in games like Wednesday night. But, first and foremost, let's get back to keeping clean sheets.
Yeah, and that's to be fair. Jim Goodwin might say that. That's the biggest problem with them, Neil. The back line is absolutely woeful.
That's what I mentioned earlier. It's difficult when you don't keep a clean sheet. You don't win games, or very rarely do you win games. It's the bedrock of any successful team.
And you're right about their defence. Very, very wobbly, and as you say up front, for him to lose Fletcher at this time of the season, and not just for his goal scoring. It wouldn't have been his best season in terms of that, because Dundee United have struggled, but just that experience and everything else that he can bring to the pitch with him. But the worrying thing, Jim Goodwin, I was thinking about this the other night, you know, he could end up with, as far as the year 2023 goes, with the two highlights, and I use that word advisedly, of course, on his CV being Aberdeen's most embarrassing result in the club's history, the defeat to Darvel when Jim was in charge, and then a few months later relegating Dundee United. I mean, it's hard not to feel sorry for the guy.
Yeah, Mark Ogren, the Dundee United owner, is in to have talks with him. What do you say? If you win the two games, you've got the job, or is he in with a shout if he wins the two games? Is it just your remit as if you keep us in, we give you the job full time?
No, I think there's other things he's got to convince him with as well. You know, he's got to say the positive things about the future. You know, I don't know what he's done behind the scenes. Maybe he's done trainings better, the players like him, whatever. But the results are the one that these American owners seem to go by. You know, they seem to be a different breed for everybody else. They want immediate success. They don't want to see any failure whatsoever. So, it depends what questions he asks them and what the answers are.
Yeah, David Watson was the guy sent off, Ruffy.
Young boy, yeah.
Young boy. Bayh is going to be out as well because he gets sent off. So, Kelly, I've got to try and muster something from this one just to make sure they're not automatically on that last day worrying about relegation as well. County equally so, but if Dundee United were to win it, suddenly...
Oh, tasty.
That's the beauty of the playoffs.
Oh.
It can be a situation, if Kilmarnock avoid losing at Dundee United, they've got a home game where a draw will see them.
Yeah. Okay. The great shout then is for all of us here, just as a wee guess.
Right.
I'm going to go for Dundee United to win.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Draw.
Ruffy?
Yeah, Dundee United to win.
Oh, is that right? Just so you can mark your card.
No, I've done it. I've done it.
Have you done it already, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Tom?
From a Motherwell perspective, and for reasons...
Who cares about Motherwell? Dundee United Kilmarnock perspective.
For reasons I gave earlier, I want Dundee United to win just to tee up that last day of the season,
Yeah.
which me and my pals will savour. That's proper soap opera stuff. But I think it's going to be a draw tomorrow night. I think they'll cancel each other out, and it could even be my classic. It could be a 0-0.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll probably bet a 0-0.
Are you going to put money on a 0-0?
Yeah. We're always winning until somebody scores the goal. It's great.
Not with two of the worst defences in Scotland.
Well, I know, but they've got the strike forces on them much better. So, you know, I think it'll be a draw tomorrow night.
Yeah, 0-0. Tam, I'll tell you what, if that game ends 0-0 and you've been a right good soldier this year, I am going to take you out for a meal.
Right, lovely.
To a place that does not involve the manager or anybody giving us anything. I'm just taking you out to a restaurant.
Right, okay. That's great. That's lovely.
Yeah, right. Is that fair, Ruffy?
Yeah, I think that's a good bet.
It's the two things with the risky talking shop. So we know that Huey's nearly relegated in the Predictor. So we've got his meal to look forward to.
Yes.
But are we having an end of season bash anyway?
Yeah, well, wait a minute. Everybody had the end of the season. I took all the staff out to the PFA Awards.
Oh, so you did,
Yeah.
just couldn't go.
So, but I've got something in mind for you. So
Good.
right? So,
And I'll tell you what, the reason I couldn't go to the PFA was that night I was doing that thing with, because you mentioned him before the show with Graham Souness, and everybody's thinking that, oh, he's 70, he'll never swim the English Channel.
Well, Ruffy's-
You've not seen the man's physique.
Ruffy doesn't
I mean,
think he's going to be able
what
to.
a unit he is at the age of 70.
I think it'll be done in relay. I think
is that right?
There's another 6 people doing it with them, so I think they're going to take it every 2 hours. But imagine, could you swim for 2 hours?
I know Rangers
In the
fans
sea.
who will be thinking, why does he not just walk it? Let's be honest.
William Smith says, Peter, Ruffy is the Predictor champion, the rest of the games are meaningless. Well, William, there's a twist in the tale, dare I say it to you, because right now, Ruffy agreed to it, so I don't want any moaning from him, and I don't want any line coming out on the programme at any point. You've agreed to it, so
I don't think I could disagree.
we've got
I was
Wednesday,
outvoted.
we've got Wednesday's points, and then the last games on the Saturday and Sunday, double points. Neil, here's the Predictor table. Tam, will double points make a difference? You bet your bottom dollar it will, because Ruffy is leading by 15 from Tam, and then just a further 5 back is myself, and then it's Alison on 286, and then 277 yourself, and 239. Now, there's...
Could have put in a traffic cone instead of him this season, couldn't you have?
Yeah, to be fair... to be fair, could...
What was all that about with McManus? What was he saying?
Actually say that Joe Hart was a traffic cone. He didn't say that.
Aye.
I mean, it's just a nonsense.
I was happy to clear that up. As a born and bred newspaper man,
Yeah.
I'll remind everybody, and maybe some of the viewers in PLZ who have been tanking Tam McManus, the columnist never ever writes the headline.
Yes.
The columnist very rarely picks the photo to accompany your page. It's just the words. And in Tam's case, he does it over the phone to one of the scribes at the Daily Record, and he put his words on the page, you know. So Tam McManus didn't call Joe Hart a traffic cone.
Yeah.
You know, it was, you know, but I think the point he was making is that
he
for
made it
so
in
many
here.
games...
It wasn't his column. He
Yeah,
made the comment
Oh,
in
was it
here.
a comment in here?
Yeah, but he
so
didn't-
who did the headline then?
Well, the guy who's actually watching this show right now, who's sitting in the Daily Record office, who writes anything that he thinks...
I'll
is worthy of a
investigate
line.
it for you, right?
No, it's fine.
Because
We know the way it works.
I know, but another story this week. We do know the way it works. Another story this week. That terrible, absolutely gross carry on with a football supporter and a referee, and what he did at the guy's front doorstep, and then chasing him about a high street store. You know, there are nutters out there. You know,
Yeah,
and it only
absolutely.
takes one. Oh, what was that McManus said?
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's important to clarify stuff like that.
I think Paul Brady makes a good point here. He says, Peter, are you suggesting that Ruffy will do a Trump and call this a fix and they're all against me?
I hope he doesn't do a Trump in his shorts. We're sitting here, dearie me.
But it's a type of thing, you know, when he's not happy about it all, you know.
No, no,
You're going to get another free feed,
it's
don't
a
you?
grasp of it's a last minute, you know, pain of, you know, trying to win something, you know. But they're on the assumption.
Hold on a second.
You're on the assumption I'm not going to get double points.
Hold on, see if just
I think I'm going to get enough.
ask Neil who won it for the first 9 years.
Yeah, but there was a couple.
Oh.
There was a couple in between. There was a couple of wee rules appeared at the end of one of these ones.
Nine in a row, honestly. I mean, he was just useless.
Yeah.
And then we extended it. Tam came in, which was useless as well because he started going 0-0. And then we brought Hugh in and Allison, got a wee bit of edge to it.
I don't think a 0-0's a bad shout most of the
Yeah,
time.
for Dundee United, Kilmarnock, Neil.
No, in general terms, it's still a draw.
Coming to the meal.
We need to invite Neil. I mean, if I somehow can still lose, I'll be inviting Neil.
Yeah.
I'm sure Hughie will as well.
Yeah. 0-0 is always a possibility, but when Motherwell play Rangers, they're not going to beat Rangers 6-0.
No.
No, absolutely not.
We normally just beat them 6-1 on 2 legs.
Well, listen, we've heard from Jim Goodwin. What about Ross County, St Johnstone, Ruffy? That's a nail biter.
I'm sticking with Ross County and the wee woman up there.
Jan, the
Wee
Staggy.
Jan, the Staggy. I think she's going to have a smile on her face
Yeah,
after the game.
after the game.
Jan
Because
Staggy, a viewer here as well then, eh?
Yeah.
She's been a stalwart and off the ball for 29 years.
Wow.
yeah, she's a lovely
Absolute
woman.
diehard.
Yeah.
Good on her.
But she just doesn't like Ruffy, obviously, being pro Ross County, because when that happens, usually Ross County hit the slide.
Yep.
Second bottom, 2 points ahead of Dundee United. Malky's still got that chance to get them at least to a playoff.
Well, Tam saw them at the weekend. I was quite impressed with them. I thought they gave it a go. Ross
They didn't
County,
have,
they
aye.
had some chances. They were played 2 up front. You
Yep.
know, they weren't sitting in. You know, I thought they were.
No, they were genuinely unlucky, you would have to say, the way the decisions worked out. I mean, that's a sore one. You know, we were out of the woods by then, of course, and we could just walk away from that game thinking, great, another goal for Veen for in the back of the penalty. But you'd be absolutely gutted as a Ross County fan. Where I feel sorry for you guys as well, Peter, it is no secret, of course, that the media at large in Scotland want Ross County relegated. Everybody saying, I've got to go way up to Dingwall, we've got to take the camera crew up there, it's miles away, you know.
Yeah.
It's so unfair in what I think is a very well run club. You know, albeit, you know, Roy McGregor wasn't there. There may be issues, of course, but as things stand, very well run club, and even though they don't have a huge support, you know, they've got the local community behind them, and like every club right through the leagues, they've got their die-hard fans, and anything they've done in recent years has been on merit. So good luck to them.
I tipped St Johnstone to go down at the start of the season, so it wasn't a slight on Ross County at the start. Ruffy, who did you tip?
Kilmarnock. I tipped Kilmarnock for the whole season.
Who did you think were going down at the start of the season?
County.
You thought it was going to be County. Who did you?
Celtic.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, I'm going with. I'm just accentuating how Miles out I'm in the predictor. I'd gone with Livy. I thought it was going to be Livy's year.
Well, look at St Johnstone, safe, big win at the weekend, and now, you know, they've got a chance. Will they have the motivation to battle it out against County at Dingwall, Ruffy? That's the big question.
Well, again, there's players going to be out of contract. There's players that have to convince, if he is going to be the new manager at St Johnstone, that they're going to be there for another year or two. So no, the players will go out there and do their best. But I'm going for Ross County.
Yeah, okay. I think Ross County will win it as well. You?
I think Ross County have got the will to win more than St Johnstone at home.
Yeah, you?
No.
Aberdeen St Mirren. I just blanked that. Don't worry about it, Ruffy. Aberdeen against St Mirren. If ever there's a team who's got a great incentive for a home win, I still think, and I'm out of left field here, but you'll kick it into touch shortly. But if Aberdeen could land Kevin Van Veen, that would really be a major shot in the arm.
But he revealed the exclusive 2 weeks ago.
Of course, I know.
Been shot down. No, the bottom line is I had heard that from a former Motherwell employee, that's all I need to say, whose information is normally spot on, put that wee whisper in my ear, and then it was shot down in flames by Alan Burrows, the chief executive at Aberdeen, who's got absolutely no reason to lie to me. So he's not going to Aberdeen. Yeah. He's not going to Aberdeen. And again, at Motherwell, that's another one that comes into the bracket with Hibs and Hearts. I would see Aberdeen as one of Motherwell's rivals. We've had a bit of a stuttery season this year, but good close season under Stuart Kettlewell's belt. Look at the form he's been in recently. Aberdeen will be in our sights next year, so I don't want Kevin Van Veen to go there.
Yeah, I disagree with you on that. I don't think, and no disrespect to you, it's all about opinions. I don't think Motherwell are Aberdeen's rivals on it. I see Motherwell more with a St Mirren battling to try and get in the top 6 as that mid-table battle. With Aberdeen, I think somewhere along the line there's got to be now, with Barry Robson in there, a sign of intent, a sign of maybe they're going to play the way Barry Robson used to play. A wee bit of fight, wee bit of bite about them as well. And if you could make what I would call a surprise signing that gets the fans excited, you know, the season tickets would go through the roof, Ruffy. They'd all be thinking to themselves, maybe there's a wee bit more at stake than having to suffer what they suffered this season. You know, Glass had gone, in came Jim Goodwin, more misery. The only delight they've had is the last, couple of months under Barry Robson.
Oh, it's an amazing turnaround. Obviously, Tom was at the Darvel game, you know, and when you think of that game and you think where Aberdeen are now, it looks as if they're going to be the third force. It's absolutely incredible. The fans are bought into it, and their numbers, you know, that if you get a good Aberdeen side, you usually get a good support. So the training ground is kicking off. So I think the Aberdeen fans are just the same as all the other fans. They'll be waiting to see what kind of player they're going to attract, how much money they're going to spend. Is the owner going to come through and maybe pitch out for a better quality of player, because they certainly have got good players there.
Yeah, and
they've not won since the split, of course.
Yeah, no.
You know, I mean, Barry Robson wasn't a great run, and listen, don't underestimate St Mirren here. I think in recent weeks St Mirren have been excellent to get. I was thinking Motherwell were going to have the bragging rights over Celtic this summer because we were the only club to take any points for Parkhead, the 1-1 draw in April. But St Mirren went there, and you know, I thought very, very unlucky. Not to beat Celtic. You see the amount of chances they had in the second half. This wasn't a kind of backs to the wall, park the bus sort of game before, I think it was. If not for an absolutely stupid penalty they conceded when the Hearts player was running away for goal and the guy very clumsily put an arm on him. It was a penalty every day of the week, and you could see the frustration in Stephen Robinson's face. So St Mirren could have been really sitting pretty, you know, and I think they'll fancy their chances against Aberdeen.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, but fair play to Stephen Robinson. He's done really well, Neil. They did play good football. They had a go against Celtic. He's had to cut his budget as well, but I really hope they can find some money for him to add the quality that he can spot a player.
Yeah, I think that's the difficulty. I can't imagine his budget will be enhanced any, and I think it will come down to Stephen Robinson and Martin Foyle, his trusted chief scout, to go and find some players from England or players that he's maybe worked with before. But you know, from St Mirren's point of view, they did play well against Celtic, you know, and they did have a go at Celtic. But you've seen another side where they beat Celtic earlier in the season where they were robust,
Yep.
you know, physical, strong, difficult to beat. So there's a lot of dimensions to the way St Mirren play. And as you say, it would be good for Stephen Robinson if he could get one or two players that he desires, but that might not be quite so easy.
Aberdeen to win.
2-1.
Draw.
1-0 St Mirren.
Okay, Livingston against Motherwell. Are you going to watch this or are you going to go to it?
I'm going to go. Aye. The Kevin Van Veen bandwagon rolls on, so he's in 27 goals now.
Yep.
So it'd be great if he could get 30 before the end of the season.
Is he staying?
Well, you know what? There's certainly a bigger chance. I know that for a fact of him staying than there was even this time a week ago. And if you piece it all together, you'll remember his celebration after he scored that cracker against, it was up at St Johnstone when he tucked the ball under the jersey and then striking the thumb because his partner has got a baby on the way. His partner is a local girl. So I dare say at that juncture in their life with a baby in the way, that could come into play as well. I know for a fact he is very happy at Motherwell, but again, the only thing is it's down to money because Motherwell would not be able to compete with somebody that wants to come in and not only give us serious dough and a transfer fee, but of course from his perspective pay him top dollar. We can't pay top dollar, and if I'm being very grown up about this, I would say, Peter, rather than rattling my rattle and having my Motherwell scarf on and all the rest of it, if I could be growing up about it, I would say that it's probably best for Motherwell if we do sell him for a really, really tidy sum. And ideally, yes, it would still hurt me if he did go to Celtic or Rangers to go abroad. And you know what, Ruffy, I don't know, we put it out and there was loads of Motherwell fans who were flummoxed by this as well. I just casually asked on the radio last week, because my head was mince with this story now. I said, where do you see Van Veen going and for how much? And the closest folk were getting, they were saying the Championship in England, but they couldn't name a club as such. The Championship and £1 million. And I think it kind of has got that sniff about it. But if I had to bet just now, and no names, no pack drill here, if I had to put a wager on it, I think he's going to Holland.
How much was Louis Moult sold for?
Sold for?
Yeah.
Louis Moult, I don't know the figure. Peter could maybe get that up in the...
Yeah, I'll have a look at that. Yeah.
I don't even know. You know what? See, in this day and age, it's a hard thing for all football fans to digest, even at your own club. See, because of, short-term deals and loan periods and all that. Gone are the days when me and Peter have spoken this before. Every guy, football fan of your age, knows that Kenny Dalglish went to Liverpool for £440,000. Everybody knows about Trevor Francis and his £1 million move from Birmingham to Notts Forest. But the days are gone when you can recite every transfer, but it's hard to keep up.
And another way, though, we haven't talked about this, and maybe it isn't a subject for the player to be too interested in, but is there a case for Motherwell extending his contract and augmenting his wages?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I would like to. There's been many an occasion in the past when I've heard players at all clubs coming out and saying how much they love this club and that. And I'm saying, well, if you really love the club and you've got a lot of suitors out there, why don't you just sign a 5-year deal? If you love us that much, so the MD that comes in for you has got to pay top dollar.
Especially given, they say, the family situation.
Exactly. So I would. My only fear is that we miss out on what would be a lot of money for Kevin Van Veen when we've not had any money coming in since David Turnbull went to Celtic, and a lot of that was swallowed up right away with the refurbishment of the stadium and the pitch and all the rest of it. So, as a model, Motherwell needs to sell players. Kevin Van Veen is the obvious one just now, because the boy Max Johnson, I think all we would get is one of these compensation training things or whatever. So, in an ideal world, I would like to see him going abroad for tasty dough, so he doesn't come back and haunt us, and I'd wish him all the best.
Yeah, unknown fee.
I hate that. That's even more annoying. What's the reason for that, Neil? Why is it undisclosed?
I really don't know. I think perhaps the buying club doesn't want to disclose how much they've paid for a player if they think they've overpaid.
Yeah, or in some cases, sometimes they like to hoodwink the fans into thinking they've shelled out more.
Potentially.
Yeah, or it might be cash in hand.
On a good thing with Motherwell, I watched all the games at the weekend. Yes. Obviously, one game was at Kilmarnock and one game was at Livingston. Your pitch is an absolute Bowling green.
It looks like...
See anybody that debates
thinks
astroturf
Yeah.
and plastic,
You think
have a
it's
look
the
at
start of the
Motherwell's
season.
Park and say, what would you rather play?
I know that it's been levelled, of course. That was the big thing last close season. It is absolutely beautiful. It's immaculate.
Yeah, of course, we're not talking about Kevin Van Veen. The player himself is obviously delighted that he's banging in the goals, but he thinks his success is down to that team ethic.
You know, there's a lot of lads in that dressing room that's not really playing because this first 11 is doing so well. But if you go into that dressing room, they're all smiling, they're all happy. It's quite a unit, so it's not only 11, 12 players. Everybody is like behind us. They know fully well that the team is playing so well. They can get in the team. They could easily sit with their heads down, but everybody's supporting each other. And I think the gaffer brought that into this.
Yeah, squad unity, always a key. Who's winning this one, Ruffy?
Sit in the fence.
Yeah, draw.
Horrible.
I think we'll sneak it maybe 2-1 and a brace from Van Veen. What I'd like to say as well, you know, I don't need to force you into anything like this, Peter, but isn't it great? I mean, he still doesn't get enough credit. He's never the credit he deserves anyhow. I'm talking about David Martindale, and it seems that, you know, he's not going to get that big job, it would appear, and he's maybe confessed himself that he thinks he's missed the boat with that, and for his historical reasons. But there's David Martindale, even though, you know, they've struggled, they get the result obviously against Dundee United, but apart from that, they've struggled since the split. But what an achievement that they're able just to tread water going into the post split. You know, they're not scurrying about at the bottom end, desperate for points to stay up. And again, it's, you know, Martindale, I really don't know why, you know, Dundee a bigger club than Livingston?
Yes. Dundee?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely,
Right.
yes.
I don't know. I know the names have been bandied about. I would maybe like to see Dundee taking a chance with him.
Have you ever seen Irvin Welsh Crime?
No.
Yes, I've seen it, yes.
And they show the last game of the season, Dundee against Hearts in 1986.
That's right.
What's about the size of the crowd?
Aye. Oh, I know.
It was amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Dundee are a bigger club, and obviously the other thing about it is the job's available. The bookies have, I think now Ian Murray is now favourite, Ruffy.
Yeah, well, I think he's done well since he went to Wraith Rovers. You know, he has been about, obviously, Airdrie. So he's got a CV there, you know, and it depends which way they want to go down. I think Davy Martindale as well.
I think he'd be a great fit.
Yeah, well, maybe some people just don't want to take the chance because of the back catalogue, but we certainly this year, Ruffy, got a great insight to him with the documentary, which is still on our YouTube channel. You can watch it. Davy Martindale, it's access all areas. It's just a brilliant insight into a manager, how he operates, the thought process, the work rate as well, and of course the team that he's put together. It's well worth your viewing if you want a real insight into the life and the job of a manager in the top flight in Scotland, and thanks to Davy for that. No doubt if you have watched it, a lot of people have mentioned to us they thoroughly enjoyed it. And then what happens is usually we come up with an idea, put it out there in the programme, and then everybody copies it in a varying degrees.
Let it go.
So yeah, no, I was actually going to swear there, but to hell with it. Yeah, Ruffy, it's always nice to be first with the ideas, get them out there and people will watch.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is. I mean, I don't want to get embroiled in it as well, but we are first for most things.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, but we still love your show.
That's
okay.
Nothing to do with your show.
I saw somebody mentioning recently you weren't even first with this concept because somebody saying it kept them in mind of Wayne's World.
Listen, can I tell you something? The first studio that we had was the worst ever, wasn't it, Ruffy?
Yeah.
Because if he laughed, the whole set moved because we had these big giant cartoon characters.
I still miss the studio where before a show you were able to get a lovely lentil soup and a great wee cold ham salad.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. That was great. Yeah, that absolutely. Yep, we've had a few reincarnations, Ruffy.
Yeah.
Some of the studios we've moved from has been unbelievable.
Yeah, the one in Stirling was the worst, I think.
Yeah.
Has to be.
How are you in Stirling?
Oh, we're in Stirling at the start. Oh, yeah. The worst ever. And do you know what? I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was some kind of, maybe the climate and the climate change and the Greta Thunberg. Every time I went to Stirling, it just rained. And every time I go past it now, it just puts me on a complete downer.
Yeah, I mean, there was a night.
Is that fair, Ruffy?
Yeah, I would say there was a night that we could not be sitting here.
Yeah.
Stormed off in a huff.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny it, Neil. I was nearly boxing, but Ruffy talked me down off the edge of the cliff, to his eternal credit.
That happened in our very first show with me and Stuart 29 years ago.
There we are. Let me tell
They
us.
were trying to put in, all about this, that delay system that they've got in the radio.
Yeah.
And some commercial broadcasters still use it, but it lasted all of one day with us because when we had to implement it, then everything just went crazy. You were getting feedback non-stop. You were hearing your own voice back through the headphones and all.
Yeah.
And Stuart lost the plot with it. Oh, he absolutely lost the plot. And he was getting ready to walk out day one. And here we were 29 years later.
Yeah, but that's an engineering problem. That's nothing to do with.
But Ken Bruce would have taken it in his stride. You know what I mean? But so it wasn't just an engineering problem. Stuart, absolutely, he went bonkers. I'd never seen him like that. Never seen him like that since.
Well, the good news is, bearing in mind Ken Bruce, there's still a chance that you and Cosgrove eventually, when you get the big call, you can go to Greatest Hits Radio.
Absolutely. I would go to Greatest Hits Radio now with an evening show and just brilliant music I'd take it as late as the 70s.
Yeah.
Nothing for the 80s onwards, just it would be a brilliant show, bit of chat, competitions, any commercial radio station. I would love to do that.
And just be the presenter.
Yeah, I would love to do it. I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah, and that would be good, by the way. But do you think maybe the punters would eventually get sick of Sydney Devine and Engelbert?
No, listen, that is only part of my eclectic taste in music.
Yeah.
I would aim it for the right audience.
Yeah, listen. Somebody might be actually watching, Tam. You never know. Ian Maxwell, SFA Chief Executive. The Cup final. Had to bear in mind, obviously, that the English Cup final is there as well. The deciding factor, obviously, the Women's Champions League final, also on at 3 o'clock. Lots of things are in the way. Wants to give the Cup final the biggest chance of a really big audience. There are sponsors involved. And he reckoned it would diminish the final and reduce the viewership across the UK. There might be people now who will watch the Scottish Cup final because it's got that later kick-off.
Yeah, I think the only people that are affected with the whole thing were the Aberdeen supporters. I don't think many of the Celtic supporters would be complaining about that kick-off time. But for Aberdeen, I was hearing. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know if it's true, but I was hearing how the British Rail had put on a train
on the
Inverness
Express,
Somebody
which leaves.
Telling me it's £78 return.
It's £77 return, which is quite a whack. But a lot of rail travel these days is pretty expensive. But I think it will still be a bit of a boon for a lot of Inverness fans. And they say as well, it's meant to leave 9 o'clock at Glasgow after the game. And the bookies certainly don't think it's going to pan out that way. If it went to extra time and penalties or whatever, they're going to delay it again by 45 minutes. And then you'll be up the road. So at least ScotRail, to be fair, £77 might not be ideal, but at least they've done their bit. But all it needed was for Ian Maxwell to come out and say, listen, the TV companies, they are the gaffers now. Simple as that. That's why we moved it. We don't want to go head to head with a Manchester derby in the FA Cup final. And it had been very, very interesting. It's all hypothetical, of course. Been very interesting if it had been a Celtic Rangers final, or maybe even a Celtic, Aberdeen Hibs Hearts, to see what would have happened then.
All speculation, yeah, you're right. Sausage Supper here, that's his tag on YouTube. Doesn't want to be known by another name. Says Ricky Ross has got a great wee show on Radio Scotland. Absolutely has. Ricky Ross, and of course I can see the headline tomorrow. Cowan makes move for Grant Stott or Ricky Ross.
No, Ricky's is mainly country and modern country, and it is a good show. And Grant's is the Vinyl Collective on a Friday night, which is very good.
Yeah, good.
Did you keep most of your songs for COVID that you could maybe play on it?
Yeah, I've got a good bumper list of them.
Yeah. Here's a question for you, Ruffy. Who's the dirtiest team in Scotland?
Is this with bookings and red cards?
Yeah.
I would say, is it a Premier team?
Well, it's the dirtiest team in Scotland, the Premiership. Who's the dirtiest Premiership team?
I would say St Johnstone.
Yeah, what about yourself? Livingston.
You always think it's a team that's scrapping and fighting for everything at the bottom end. It's never one at the top end who can sail through games. So I'll go Dundee United.
Yeah, well, Transfer Market have just taken all the yellow cards and red cards. Dirtiest team, St Johnstone, then St Mirren, Livingston, Hibs, Motherwell 5th, Kilmarnock 6th, Ross County 7, Aberdeen 8, Hearts 9, Dundee United 10, Rangers 11 and Celtic 12.
That's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Dundee United in 10th.
They
A
should,
team that's scrapping and battling to try and
they
get
should have
back.
been third, and they wouldn't win this mess.
Possibly.
Absolutely. Newcastle United, Ruffy, just briefly, sealed a Champions League spot, first time in 20 years. The question was, who was the last manager before Eddie Howe, the last Newcastle manager to secure Champions League football? There's the question.
Is that the question?
Yeah.
Kevin Keegan.
Kevin Keegan.
Keegan.
I was going to say Keegan. I was hoping I could have chucked her. It's Keegan, isn't it?
No, it's Sir Bobby Robson. Sir Bobby Robson, who was a fantastic manager.
Oh,
as
but
well.
he's a fantastic man.
Yeah, I
Great pleasure
interviewed
to
him
meet him
twice.
once.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Good
Lovely man.
You happy with that? Happy that they managed to get there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, obviously my son-in-law will be tickets for Newcastle, tickets for Rangers or Celtic, so
Yeah.
let's hope they're on the same group.
Thanks to so many people who actually said it's great to see everybody here, Ruffy with the shorts on, and of course looking mega tanned. Yeah, well obviously your holidays are coming up as well, Ruffy. Another 4 jaunts and 4 different points.
I'm not happy about where I'm going because there seems to be thunderstorms for 4 days. Which
Is that
a
right?
bit of a shocker.
Well, that's
it's going to be really nice here, by the way.
Yeah. Well, next week.
Ruffy's going on holiday, Tam, and we'll be here sunning ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I go to Cornwall in the summer and then we go to Marbella later on, nearly at the same time as Ruffy. I'm in Marbella.
That's good.
I'm not even sure the dates. I might cross over. I might see you for a pint.
Yeah, well, he'll meet you in the bar, but you'll be in there on your own. On that note, thanks to Ruffy, thanks to Neil Murray, and to Tam, because obviously this week we'll have our pundits all the way through to the end of the Scottish Premiership, and then we're going to do one show next week, the Cup Final special, and then all through the summer there'll be one-to-ones and special programmes that I hope you will enjoy as these guys go on holiday for a well-earned break. So my thanks to Neil, Ruffy, and of course Tam Cowan, who's been nothing short of exceptional. You've pulled out a few right good meals, Tam. Over
Thanks.
the
You're meant to
things.
say something about the content in the shows.
No, you've been absolutely brilliant at that as well. And he's the only one we allow on this programme, Ruffy, to mention Radio Scotland and the BBC on a regular basis. Is that fair?
Either that or Tam McManus playing in America. Did
Yeah,
you know that?
absolutely. It's your catchphrase. On that note, Tam Cowan, Alan Ruff, Neil Murray, myself, Peter Martin, hit the subscribe button, and Ruffy and I will see you tomorrow.